Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Annabelle. I'm here with Michael Katz, who is from Wyoming Sportswriter of the Year. Um, Michael, I just want to know, what was it like getting to the point where you are now? Was it linear? Were there ups and downs? Can you explain, you know, how you got to where you are and what happened in that process?
Yeah, there were a lot of ups and downs. I started off, I think, like most people did, covering high school sports for $10 an hour in Southern California, which is pretty tough living out in that area. I did that for a couple of years. Started covering Boise State out in Idaho. Did that for a bit. Was covering high school at the same time. Moved up and covered Boise State full time, and then I hit a bump in the road where my organization decided they wanted to put me in regular news. And so I did, general news, crime, all that kind of stuff for,
Wow.
gosh, it was almost 2 years. And that was kind of a defining moment for me. Just, I wasn't sure if it was really for me, if I was going to get back in sports and what my path kind of looked like. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm pretty thankful for getting that experience because it made me a better all around reporter, and I learned a lot of things that maybe I wouldn't have learned just being in sports. That being said, I did eventually want to get back into sports, and about a year and a half ago, I moved to Wyoming. Had never been here before, really, but it was just another chance to cover college sports, and I did that, and it's been an adventure. Obviously, with COVID and everything, it's been a pretty crazy year, but being back in sports has been pretty great.
And so you didn't really enjoy the news part of it. You knew that sports was kind of what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it was like a horrible experience or anything like that, but it's different. When you sign up to do sports, you have a very specific expectation on things, and the news world is a lot different, and in some ways better, in some ways worse, and
Hmm.
it's a challenge to kind of sometimes find the motivation when it's not necessarily what you thought you were signing up for, but at the same time, a lot of good experience came from it.
And what would you say is your favorite part of reporting sports?
I would say that it's kind of really my favorite part of any journalism thing is just kind of the people.
Hmm.
I think one of the really underrated parts of this job is building relationships and meeting people from different backgrounds and learning, what makes people tick. And
Hmm.
uh, I really enjoy that with college sports because we can kind of get caught up in stats and wins and losses and coaches being on the hot seat and all of those little things, but we sometimes forget that there's people who are going through or have gone through some pretty incredible stuff, and the ability to tell those sorts of stories is really why I do it. Going to games is great, and I
Right.
love being in the press box and whatnot. But finding out how people got to where they are, and uh, talking to their family members and people in their lives to kind of figure out how they got to where they are. I think for me, that's absolutely my favorite part of the job.
And where do you see your future going in the industry or out of the industry? Do you have any goals, or do you want to move? Do you want to stay? Do you have any plans?
For right now, I'm pretty content. I've got a
Good.
pretty good gig. I think it's such a volatile industry right now with especially with everything that's happened in the last year. I'm
Right.
really fortunate to still have a job. A lot of my friends, weren't as fortunate as I was and had to find different ways to make ends meet. I've kind of told everyone in my family I'm going to keep doing this until I absolutely can't, because it's not very often that you get to really do what you love.
Mhm.
A lot of people have to, work to live and whatnot, and I get that. But I'm at a place right now where I can make a living, but I can also doing what I love, and not everybody can do that. And I kind of told myself, after the whole news thing where I was kind of, maybe not the happiest guy on earth, that,
Right.
now that I'm back doing it, I'm going to follow that as long as I can, because I know what it's like to work when you're not as happy. And there is something to be said for enjoying what you do.
So you wake up every morning looking forward to getting to work and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I mean, well,
That's
usually I
awesome.
wake up looking to see if there's been any like crazy stuff that's happened. It's usually the
Right.
first thing is checking to see if I have an email I need to get, or if some crazy's happened. But yeah, I mean, not everybody gets to wake up and say, "Man, I'm really excited for today," and I'm really lucky to be in that position.
And do you have any advice to younger people in college or whatever it may be looking to get into the industry?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. It's probably gonna suck at first.
Okay.
It's gonna be tough, and that's you hate to say that, and I know everybody's got their own path, and everybody moves at a different pace, but sometimes you're going to be working for really cheap, sometimes you're going to be interning, sometimes you're going to take some different roads that you didn't necessarily think you would. But if you're passionate about it, and it's what you want to do, I think things usually find a way working themselves out, and that you kind of end up where you're supposed to be, if you're supposed to be doing it. And it's not always going to look like the way, if you had told me when I graduated, 8 years ago, whatever it was, that I'd be in Wyoming, I would have said you were crazy, because I never thought I
Right.
was leaving California. But
Right.
it takes weird paths, and you got to be willing to kind of roll with the punches. You're going to have to be uncomfortable sometimes, moving away from home, making less money than you would like. But if it's something that you really want to do, I encourage everybody to do it for as long as you can.
Did you go to school for journalism, or how did you come out of school and wanted to do this?
Yeah, so I was an English major in undergrad. I knew I
Mhm.
loved writing, but I wrote like a 60-page paper my senior year, and I was like, I can't do this.
That is
So
tough.
yeah, it was really tough, and so I had to kind of be creative and figure out, like, how can I write but not write like this.
Mhm.
And so I applied for graduate schools in a bunch of different programs. And I grew up in the Los Angeles area. USC was always, it's where my family went. And I always wanted to kind of end up there in some capacity. And I knew they had a good journalism school. I didn't know a lot about journalism. I'd never did like the high school paper or anything like that.
Got it.
I just knew that I loved writing, and I got there to SC, and basically had to relearn how to write. It's so different from you know academic writing, which is
Right.
what I did in undergrad. But um, I'm really, really glad I did, because there's when you're passionate about writing, you can usually find some way to do it, and that can take a lot of different forms. And I'm really fortunate that I kind of walked through the door that I did.
Well, thank you so, so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.